Turn to the teacher. Turn to the teacher. Turn to the teacher. Turn to the teacher.
And welcome back. I'm Mike with the Turntable Teachers, and class is back in session here for another guest speaker episode at AOA Studios. If you're an artist, podcaster, or content creator of any kind, make sure to check us out at aoastudios.org and book your session or service today. And I am joined today by an incredibly special guest. I mean, they're all special, but this man drove a little far out from, all the way coming from Springfield, Massachusetts. He's an artist. He's a creative director, photographer, videographer. He kind of does it all in the multimedia space. And I always love having people on this show that wear multiple hats, do multiple things, have different skill sets. It always makes for a better conversation. Of course, this is none other than Jxylen, joining the Turntable Teachers. Jxylen, thank you so much for being here, man. This is a pleasure, and thank you so much for making the drive out here. I know it was not an easy feat.
I'm blessed to be here. I'm blessed to be doing an interview, somebody that's really passionate to, do this. So
Yeah, it was funny. We were laughing off air because I had said, I've been following you for a while, and through Taha, honestly, I feel like just in the whole Western Mass scene, which I want to talk about a little bit in a minute, but you've always struck me as the type that wouldn't. Not that you wouldn't do an interview, but it's not like it doesn't come to mind as maybe like the first thing that I feel like you would maybe want to pursue. So when you reached out, I was like, hell yeah, I'd love to have you on. Like you seem just like you're somebody that is an intellect in a lot of different ways. So I'm excited to have a conversation with you today. About a multitude of different things. So
you're right to a degree. I think it's more so I'm very picky. And I respect what y'all do. So it's like, it's only right to do it, with y'all.
That means a lot. Thank you so much for that. Well, and I'm honored that, I'm honored that a lot of people have said that to me, over the years, and it never gets old to hear, but it's also like a testament and humbling. It just keeps me going, honestly, to want to make this show what it is. You know what I mean? Like my goal is always to highlight different artists and give them maybe an opportunity that they might not have somewhere else, and to provide a comfortable space too, and of course to for you to be able to allow yourself to explain who you are to your own fans, but then also like people that might just be being put onto you for the first time through this interview. So it's always my goal. But so I appreciate you recognizing that and wanting to come on. And like I said, when the second you were like, I want to come on, I'm like, yeah, we're gonna make this happen. Because from a distance, man, like I've really enjoyed your content, your music. I can't wait to dive into all of it. So that we're first gonna start with the objective, where we get to know a little bit about you and your background. And I know you're from Springfield originally, as we just mentioned. And what I love about Massachusetts is, in terms of its music scene, I think it used to kind of be centered around Boston, right? Everybody talked about Boston music scene. But I think what people are realizing that there's a lot of different pockets of the music scene within Massachusetts. The Western Mass scene being one, and there's quite a laundry list of great artists coming out of the Western Mass scene. Obviously Taha, who has been on this show 3 different times. He's a great friend of the show.
I love Taha, man. It's crazy because when I first met him, when we did our show together, it's crazy to see the energy that he has, and it's like, oh, you could really do all of this. Yeah. Oh, I'm gonna lean into this a little bit more because this is interesting. But I love Taha. I love what he does overall. Good dude. I really do love him.
Really good dude. Absolutely. Phoenix Rios is another guy who used to actually be a co-host on this show a while ago.
That's my guy too.
We love Phoenix.
We get into our intellectual bag.
I'm sure you do. That's why we used to have to cut episodes off with Phoenix because we'd be going 2 hours and I'd be like, bro, we got to stop. This is going too long, but we love Phoenix as well. He's just such a great energy, and like you said, just really smart and gifted in a lot of ways. And there's just plenty of artists that I've been put onto through him, but also just learning the Western Mass. Ishak Anor is another guy. Jonas, Mike, formerly Mikey Blackbird. You got Penny. You got DK, right? I mean, the list kind of just goes on and on and on, man, for real. Like,
And I
there's
love-
just so much talent out in Western Mass. It's really cool.
I love them all. I love them all.
Absolutely, man. I do too. Big shout out to all those guys that I mentioned. So, my biggest question to you on this side of things is I know that the Western Mass scene has often felt a bit overlooked. And, you know, my question to you, I guess, is, you know, is that maybe, though, even despite the fact that it is a bit overlooked, like, is there a different energy out there of, like, having to feel like you guys have to prove it to the rest of the state that you sort of belong in these conversations? Or is that not something you guys typically think about or talk about amongst yourselves in Western Mass? I've asked a few, you know, different artists from Western Mass this question, and I feel like I get very different answers all the time. So I'm kind of curious from your perspective of what that looks like.
See, if you asked me this question like 3 years back, maybe even 4, I probably would have said like yes. But I feel, and maybe this is because I'm just changing and I'm seeing more of life. But at least for me, I know I don't feel like I have to prove anything. I want people to really gravitate towards the work. If it fits you, it fits you. But I'm not going to sit here and try to keep on getting you to see. People are going to see whether they tune in or not if the work is really good. But overall, if I'm speaking for everybody else in the rooms I've been in, people I spoke to, it's like nobody's really looking west. So it's like, yes, we have this urgency to prove like, yo, we're really out here, you know? But I think over time, people get to that point where it's like, you know, the work speaks for itself. You know, this world is bigger than just trying to prove something, you know? So I don't know. That's my point of view. I don't know. That's just how I feel. But I definitely, like I said, 3-4 years back, I would have said yes.
Interesting. Yeah, I think maybe that was around the time I was having these conversations. So that's actually pretty interesting. In terms for you, you know, what's been your background with music and really creativity in general? Because again, I know as we mentioned it, like you're just incredibly multi-talented in many ways. But I guess we'll start with the music part. Like, when did you sort of feel like music was something that you wanted to take seriously, or, you know, creating it from that standpoint? Like, I'm kind of curious. Take me through a little bit of that journey for yourself as a music creator and an artist.
This is interesting. So even before rap was like a thing, I think I was like more of a poet. I'm always been a writer. Like my grandmother like really pushed me to read a lot. And that's because like I wasn't really the best reader growing up. You know, like I'm studying over my words and stuff, and I still do sometimes, but being forced to read books and books and books, it's like, okay. But the fast forward to the music part, I say I was writing a lot in middle school, like just for myself and for my leisure, especially as a poet, just getting a lot of like what's off my chest. And I say going into like 8th grade, I met my boy Lakewood, you know, because I was living in Georgia around the time, and he was taking it really serious. Like he's like locked in, and I'm like, I'm watching the energies kind of like align with myself, you know? So when I met him, and then I'm meeting other artists at the time, and it's like, okay, this could really be a thing. And then I ended up moving back, going into my freshman year of high school, and I met my boy Dave V, which is really like my best friend, and we started doing this music shit together, and that eventually leads to a line of me and my other creative peers and friends that I have. So, but yeah, 14, 15, getting into music, trying things out, finding myself, listening to a lot of The Alchemists and things like that, like early on. Like these are people I would rap over their beats and stuff. So it's kind of like crazy to see how things like grew. So
For sure.
but yeah, it's just a series of just trying new things. But yeah, I would say that's pretty much the story of it all, you know.
And you have a very unique sound. It's not like, it's very, like, you have very soulful samples and you use a lot of soulful production, but then you also at the same time also layer in a lot of experimentation within your music. I feel like it's almost like, I don't want to compare you because that just feels wrong, but like it you know, I liken it to a little Earl Sweatshirt sort of, you know, Armand Hammer, of course, I know is like someone you opened for years ago, which we'll talk about a little bit later too. But like, so just I feel like that lane of artists. There's probably others I'm not thinking about at the moment, but it's sort of that experimental. Alchemist, I think, is a good producer to think about because like he does a lot of different production well, but like that's one I feel like he does incredibly well. So why for you was it a little bit more of that off the beaten path experimental sort of style that was so appealing to you as you've sort of grown into the artist that you are today?
It's crazy because I really don't know like the like centering answer for that, but I think it's just like being a student, right? You go through the 90s and you studying all these artists, Nas, you go through like the boom boot camp click and all of that stuff. Like you go through all of it, Biggie, all of that. I think once you start getting into like the Alchemist stuff, that's like the closest thing to, I say, like the ground basis of what we're used to doing, you know, samples, all of that. I don't know, man. I listen to so much music, so I'm taking things from, like I said, Porter said, we talked about that.
Yeah, we just talked about that.
You know, but Alchemist, I don't know, his sound has always been like just, it blows me away. How he sequences projects, things like that. And speaking of like Earl Sweatshirt and Odd Future, them also being a very inspiring source in my life. Domo Genesis did his project with The Alchemist, and that's like, oh, this is crazy.
Not to kind of go on a detour here, but like I've really actually enjoyed. I think his solo career has been incredibly underrated. I think a lot of people from the Odd Future camp that, you know, of course Tyler gets mentioned. I mean, why wouldn't he? Frank, or the Earls of the world, but like Damo's
the rapper.
Yeah, I mean, he really can. He goes, man, and he still is creating a ton of incredible music. Like if you look back in his discography from like his solo stuff in the last 5-10 years, like it's on par with a lot of what I think the other Odd Future guys are doing. It's just not as commercially like pushed. If that makes sense. Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like that No Idols project.
Ooh,
that's
one of my favorites of his.
Yeah, Damo don't get talked about enough. But I think me listening to that, then I start digging, and then you start doing the research of The Alchemist and his history of all the things he's done. It's just like, bro, he's really like, I guess that sound has always been kind of fundamental of hip hop. It's just evolved. That's kind of how I see it. The experimental side is just kind of like I'm a fan of Kanye, so it's like I've literally my first favorite rapper ever. So it's kind of like seeing him evolve, and I know we're not going to talk about the politics of him now, you know.
Of course,
it's I've stepped into this creative space to be free, so I'm like, I try to do everything that I want to do. So
makes total sense.
I don't box myself in.
It's really cool. Yeah. Well, it's a great transition into the next segment of the show, which we call the main lesson, where we talk about what you got going on now. And you just have recently, within the last few months, dropped your album Divine Order Act 2 with E.N.G Creation.
Yeah. And
which, again, great body of work. 7 tracks, 15 minutes long. So it's a nice, easy listen, quick listen. To be honest with you, I don't mean this as a criticism. I actually mean this as a good way. It sounds longer than 15 minutes to me.
Yeah.
It feels immersive in the sense that it's long. And some people think that like, oh, it sounds longer, that means it's a slog of a listen. No, not even. I don't mean that at all. Like I mean like it's an immersive listen. You almost don't feel like it goes fast because it's such a sonic journey. And again, I loved the dichotomy of the soulfulness that it had, but also the experimentation as well in the production. But then you have this more deeper, almost darker tone to the way that you rap. So that album, talk to me a little bit about that, and of course the content you've been making with it. That you've kind of been putting out a lot of your content driven, like for like the Vagabond one, for example, you like gave like a really cool, I can't remember what you said now off the top of my head. I should have wrote it down, but you were just given a lot of great description and detail of like the meanings behind the songs. Like it wasn't, you know what I mean? And I think that's an interesting and different approach to content creation right now, because I feel like what we're seeing a lot of, and there's nothing necessarily wrong with this, But you drop a project, and the reels or the content you're seeing is, maybe a 20 to 30 to 40-second snippet of the artist performing the song, maybe a cool environment, cool aesthetic or whatever, performing it on camera or something like that. But you feel like you went a bit of a different approach to it. You just kind of sitting down, setting it up in like a cinematic way and just talking about what the song means. So that was like really dope that you did that. I think I appreciated that.
Thanks.
So I say all that to say, kind of talk to me a little bit about like the creative vision you had for this project and sort of why you decided to go about it in the way that you did.
So I won't break down like the divine order like theme, but I will say this. When I was working on the project, usually when I work on projects like divine order in particular, it's like it's based around what's going on in life currently. Mm-hmm. But for this project in particular, I was driving to Connecticut a lot. Specifically by the water, which is why you see a lot of what's going on. But yeah, I was just, it's a place that I spent a lot of time at. So I usually kind of like worked around it. Not only that, there's other things I wanted to do, but I was like, yo, let me keep it very authentic. I don't want to go too off the deep end. So in terms of like the aesthetic and things like that, it's like, yeah, you see me outside. Then again, fall is approaching, so it's like I want to keep the very fallish, bright yellowish type of feel. But I wanted it to be personal because I wanted it to be a look inside of who I am. And I think that's what, there's more with Divine Order Act 2, but I wanted to take people into my world. I talk about a lot of things outside of my world, but it's like, who is Jxylen? Nobody really knows who that is. Like, so the best thing was to actually say how I feel, what's going on in my mind, what's weighing heavy on my heart. Really actually speak to people so really people feel me. So I hope that answers your question. There's so much I could have said, but I think that's the the gist.
No, for sure. And then I'm definitely curious though about the sort of the accompanying content that you made along with it to give it more of that. Like what was your thought process behind doing something like that versus just kind of the average like performative content that you would see? Because again, I encourage him. All his links will be in the description. Obviously, don't go anywhere. We've got plenty left with Jxylen. But once the episode's done, definitely take a deep dive and find some of this because it's pretty fascinating. I was very just enamored with the fact that you decided to go in a direction like this. I think it fits your aesthetic, your artistry, you as a person, but would love to hear a little bit like of
what. Okay, yeah. So when we start talking about that, the more you know me as an artist, and everybody knows this, I'm very like rebellious when it comes to a lot of things. I don't like doing what everybody else is doing, and I see what you're talking about. I see it way too much, too much,
I agree.
And it's like I'm not giving y'all just music. I'm not just rapping to y'all. Y'all have to feel what I'm saying. And also the way my mind works, I'm just like, I'm thinking things in a whole, like I'm a visionary, I would say, so I'm thinking things in a whole completely different angle off rip. But for what you said is just like, I don't want to do what everybody else is doing. Like, that's cool, but it's not really feeling it, I feel. So I kind of just I'm always going to do I'm going to do something completely different than what everybody else is doing. And not because I want to be different. It's because it's just like, it's that what everybody else is doing is just not moving me. How can I make this more me?
Well, there feels like an authenticity behind it. And that's why I think I've gravitated towards you as an artist a lot, just from that standpoint alone, just the fact that you are authentic. You are somebody that, and I wouldn't say walks to beat their own drum necessarily, because that does make it seem as though like you're like, fuck what everyone else is doing. Like I'm gonna do it. I don't think that's your mentality. I just feel like it's different without feeling forced, if that makes sense.
I don't ever want it to be forced, And this is why, like, a lot of times I take my time to really sit down with myself. Like, what's really driving me? Where's these thoughts coming from? I have to really get clear about that before I do anything.
Interesting. So for you, like intentionality sounds like it's very important. behind everything you do?
Extremely. This is something, like I said, everybody that really works with me knows that I'm very intentional. I take my time, and yeah, those is like one of the major things about me.
When you're collaborating with other people, do you find that to be a challenge with other people that might want to go a little bit faster potentially, or?
This is why a lot of people hate working with me, and I have problems. Not like people like, oh, this dude is terrible, but it's more so like I bump heads with people because I really do my own thing, and some people really support that, and it's like, yo, I see the vision, and I really want to get on board. But a lot of people's like, this is just too much. This ain't. But that's the thing. We not here to be doing what everybody else is doing. We got to really take our time. Really, if we really want to make great bodies of work and great things, we have to really put intention and care into it. We can't just be throwing it out there. Like, what are we doing? You know. But that's just, again, that's just me. You know. And I'm also very much like a control freak. Like,
Okay.
I love Prince, right?
Okay, yeah, I do. Yep.
And
As most of us do.
I don't know if you pay attention too much about Prince, but it's like he does it all too. He makes sure his hands is in everything, but there's a reason to it. You know, he wants things done his way, the right way. It's kind of how I am.
Similar.
You know? Not like I'm not a dickhead though, but it's just like, yeah. You know.
Yeah, I think there's a way to go about it, right? There's a way to be, there's a way to present that to a collaborator potentially. So, I don't know too much about like that deep in with Prince, but I know that like I had heard rumblings about like that's kind of how he was as a. I actually was in Minnesota a couple of years ago. They have this crazy like mural for him in Minneapolis. It's really, really sweet. Yeah, it's dope.
The airport is interesting too. You go in and it's a lot of Prince.
Yeah. It's like I think they even have like a museum or something like that, like for him there. I mean, I could be wrong about that, but I know they have it. At least the mural. The mural was crazy. I have a picture of it somewhere on my phone. It was pretty wild. I was like, whoa, this is different. But for me, like in this day and age, right, where we're seeing a lot of the recycled sort of same types of music, same types of concepts in a lot of ways. Like I love having artists on this show, but also just for my own listening, like just endeavors. Like I like listening to music that is a little bit more intentional, that has a little bit more, something to it that makes it unique in its own right, and that something that seems like it time was taken to craft this thing, right? Versus just kind of this like microwavable type of music or content or whatever. Like I was just having this conversation with one of our previous guests from a couple episodes ago, Alone. Big shout out to Alone. We were talking a little bit about Playboi Carti's new album, and I'm like, and that style of music is not like I understand its place. Like I'm definitely like away, and this is how I was when I was younger. I've definitely gotten away from like labeling music as good and bad, just because I think there's just such a subjectivity to all of this that like. I think there's probably a few examples of songs where you could be like, all right, objectively, this is a terrible song, or objectively, this is a great song, whether you like it or not. Like we can probably have the few examples of that, but I'd say 95% of it lives in that gray area of like, I could hate this and you could love it, and like we both could be right.
Right.
You know what I mean? So like
I feel you.
100%. And the example I gave was just because it had just dropped was the Playboi Carti album, and actually the Mindflex guys who you just met, we were all in a group chat the day of talking about this because Nick was saying how dope it was, and I was like, dude, I don't feel anything when I listen to this. Like, I'm sorry, it's just not. And like, I'm sure if I heard it, not that I'm a club guy or I'm not a partier, I don't do any of that stuff, but if like had I heard this out or at a show, if a DJ was playing or whatever, like I probably wouldn't think twice, and I'd probably be like, oh, whatever, this is just. Is what it is. But that's not music I seek out. You know what I mean? I seek out more of the thinkers, the more of like, and again, that doesn't make me, on some other pedestal than other music listeners, but that's just the way I sort of portray or like envision the artists and the music that I want to like see in the world that I think is actually making, impacts, I think. And respect that a little bit more, because there is obviously, I mean, there's a reason, as we got the album right behind you, why Kendrick takes years and years and years to create projects. It's because, he doesn't need to, he doesn't need to put out, an album every year, because, he's out trying to get inspired and taking his time with it and figuring out what's my next masterpiece going to be. And I always appreciate artists that do that. So.
Yeah, there's not, like I said, there's nothing wrong with it. It's all subjective. It's like, you like what you like, there's nothing wrong with that,
100%.
But like I said, the Kendrick thing, it's like, you have to live life. That's my thing too. I like living. That's how the part of the aesthetic thing with Divine Order. It's like, I'm living, gathering these thoughts, these ideas, feeling things.
Yeah, because that can't come from out of thin air. You have to actually experience that first, right? So it makes total sense.
Yeah.
But pretty sweet, man. Well, Divine Order Act 2, it's out now. Make sure you, it's going to be linked in the description, so make sure you check that out. Don't go anywhere yet. We obviously have plenty left with Jxylen. Now is the time, Jxylen, we're on our show. We like to go to a segment we call Pop Quiz. So Pop Quiz is a segment where we ask our guests rapid-fire questions. Some have to do with music. Some have absolutely nothing to do with music whatsoever. It's just information I found out about you. But again, it's nothing embarrassing, nothing incriminating.
I'm
so
scared. You
should be a little nervous, but you should be okay, because if you know yourself, you really can't fail. And you do seem like somebody that knows yourself well.
I'm scared still.
That's okay. That's all right to be scared. That's all right. You hear some people hear the word pop quiz and it brings them back to a time when maybe they don't want to be thinking about. I get it. But I promise this will be the most fun pop quiz you've ever taken. How's that sound?
Okay.
All right. So my first question to you is, I'll start off with an easy one. What was it like opening for Armand Hammer? We mentioned a little earlier. I know you opened for him a few years ago.
I would deem that as like my first like real performance.
No kidding.
And that was a sold out show.
Okay, so first performance, sold out opening for Armand Hammer. Just to set the scene for people, like, because that's not the norm. I don't feel like for most artists. That's like their first show is just like an open mic or something like that.
I mean, yeah. I've done one open mic, but that wasn't really that. The Armand Hammer show is like a real,
yeah.
Yeah.
So what was that like?
Nerve-wracking. Because I'm a person that likes getting things in order. I'm trying to make it fast. I'd like to get things in order. It's me and my boy AUR. We're opening up. We then rehearse multiple times. We get on stage. Place is packed out. Start rapping, right? I didn't know I was going to be out of breath. I didn't know it was that much of an exercise to really be performing like that. Give or take, I really take my time, rehearsing. I rehearse day in, day out. But yeah, nerve-wracking rehearsals and all of that stuff. But it's like I'm out of breath, dehydrated, losing my voice. But the energy was there. So I'm going to keep it at that. I can say more, but yeah.
Sounds good. What makes The Raid Redemption the best modern MMA movie?
Yo, I don't know what it is. I think it's a combination of so many things in that movie, and people laugh when I bring that movie up, but it's like, no, The Raid is really like the best MMA movie, hands down. Made my friends watch that off shrooms. They was like, what the fuck is But it's the best because it's so much. It's like, not only is the storyline crazy, you're getting a little bit of like a detective, and it's like, it's not a forced MMA movie. I'll say it like that. And you're getting all types of craziness going on.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. True or false? You're actually a very good dancer. It's something that not a lot of people know.
Yes, I am. That's subjective. I did used to dance as a kid. Like, I used to do like hip hop.
Gosh.
But yeah, I didn't think I was that good.
Good enough to get by. If someone saw you dancing, they think you're not too bad.
Yeah.
I know you're a big sweets guy. What's one dessert that you don't think you could live without?
Ooh. I could say either red velvet cake.
Ooh, that's a great choice.
Or it's going to be apple pie. and I think the runner-upper would be peach cobbler. It's between them three.
Okay.
But I think apple pie may take the cake because there's a lot that you can do with it. Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
Okay. Apple pie. I'm a carrot cake guy myself. I love me a nice piece of carrot cake.
When it's soft, too. Like, yeah.
Definitely. So, cool. I had to ask that. Staying on the food thing for a second. Describe your incredible dislike of Domino's. I know you're not a fan of Domino's pizza.
I think this is something that I've grown to dislike over time. And there's been times where I had to eat it because back home, that's be the only thing open late at night. Yeah. But I remember studio nights, late at night. We'd be stuck at the studio, and this is like around COVID time, and Domino's would be the only thing open. I'll eat it. You're going to feel terrible the next day. The repercussions is crazy. But, I mean, if it's last minute and you got to survive, it's not that bad, but...
You're not seeking it out. It's not your first choice, certainly.
Like, the only food at night, that's the only thing. Like...
Yeah, it's a tough one.
Yeah.
How did working at Ocean State job lot during COVID give you PTSD?
Oh my gosh. Even though this was a short period of my life, a very short period, it was hell because it's COVID. You got lines in the back of the store. You got people on their high horse. It's so much I could say, but it's just being there was just too uncomfortable, man. Like, I really felt the lowest working there.
Fair enough. True or false, you recorded your song Salvador Dali while being sick in a hot room.
Yes. It was hot as hell. My room, when it's hot, like in the summertime, you gotta understand, I can't record with the AC on because it makes so much noise. So I have to cut it off. Yes, sick, summertime, wasn't really feeling too good, but I had something to prove. So it's like, I'm over here trying to get the song done. Like, really try to get the song done. So, yes.
That's crazy. I know you are now an avid reader and you like books. What do you like most about Belle Hooks books? I know that's like an author you really enjoy.
I love Belle Hooks, and I think it's more so the fact that you have a Black woman that is really her focus on just the politics and everything that's going on in the Black community, whether it's the focus on love. And I'm a big, I don't know, I just care about Black liberation and community so much. So hearing her give her perspective, whether I agree with some things or I disagree with some things, but it's like a lot of her views have really sparked a lot of things in my mind to dig deep into, which inspired a lot of Divine Order and Divine Order Act 2. Yeah.
Interesting. Very cool. Final question about, one's a movie question. So if one had to go,
Oh God.
one got to go. I'm gonna name 3 movie titles, and one's got to go. So you can't watch it again, or it doesn't exist anymore, or whatever. Godzilla, Taxi Driver, Fight Club.
Which Godzilla?
Your favorite Godzilla, whichever Godzilla is your favorite.
The whole franchise?
That makes it a bit inequitable because if we take away the whole Godzilla franchise, because the other ones are standalone movies, so maybe it wasn't a great question. But regardless, maybe your favorite Godzilla movie. How's that sound?
Okay,
whichever one that might be.
Leverageable because I the whole franchise I love. So we could take away Godzilla.
Okay.
We said choose one, right?
Choose one. You gotta get rid of one.
Who now? Taxi Driver versus Fight Club. Well, I have to choose Fight Club because you don't get my first project. Well, my first album without Fight Club. You don't get Project Mayhem without Fight Club.
Fair enough. Fight Club it is. Fight Club's the one that stays.
Yeah. I love Taxi Driver though. Like Scorsese went crazy on that movie.
He's one of my favorite directors. My top 3 are definitely Nolan, Tarantino. No, actually, sorry, I'll scratch that. Tarantino, Nolan, Scorsese, in that order. Those would be my 3 favorites. I know that's not like going out on some crazy limb here, but those are my favorites. But anyway, that was Pop Quiz with Jxylen. Jxylen did well. A+ for Jxylen.
I know I get deep into answering answers, you know. But yeah,
You did well. I do want to get more into, you know, your creativity when it comes to filmmaking, you know, making videos that are cinematic, photography, all that sort of stuff. And I know you had just recently released a video on YouTube called "A Look Inside My Creative Mind" that I watched, and it was very interesting. You also have a multimedia company called Exist, and you're also somebody that loves creative directing. So I'm just kind of curious from your perspective, you know, what the role film plays within, you know, obviously this is kind of an obvious question, but I kind of want to hear, or obvious answer, excuse me, but I want to hear sort of from your perspective of why you merge the music and the film so much, and why it's important for you to like have those two worlds collide as much as you make them collide.
I think just growing up. Okay, so you got Kanye West and you got Michael Jackson, right? You know, I think as a kid, I don't know if I can't say it's necessarily them, but I think they are like prominent to why I do what I do and how I view it, because they always fuse the two together. You know, My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy had the short film. But I don't know. It's, again, when I create, I like to use everything. Like, I don't want to leave. I don't want it to just be, I'm just doing one thing. I need everything involved. And being a visionary, the way I see things, coming up with ideas, it's like, it's not just the music. It's like, okay, I'm seeing things in my mind just cinematically. So I don't know, just pulling them two together, it just fits. You watch a film, it has a score, soundtrack.
For sure.
Can't do without it. So it's like, and when I make music, I don't even think a lot of producers know, but it's like when I'm making a project or this, that, and the fourth, it's like I want the music to be more of a soundtrack. I need it to feel like a score, which is why you hear a lot of strings and piano sounding crazy. And, you know, it's like it's supposed to give that cinematic feel, because it's like I want this to feel like you're in the world. I'm building worlds, you know. So without it, it's like you needed to, you know, you needed to.
Yeah, I kind of felt that way about Divine Order Act 2, honestly. I felt like it had a very cinematic sound to it when I first listened to it. So I hear it, and I kind of hear where you're going with it. And just in watching your filmmaking and your even just some of the short form content that you put out, it's I love that, just the intentionality. I know this is kind of the theme of this episode, I feel like, is intentionality, but just, you know, how intentional each even shot is, you know, from like down to that, like each, you know, certain angles and color grading. I know like all of that is like, I know, incredibly important in the way you work. So what aspect of creating video or visuals is your favorite? Because also it's been something that I've been getting into. I've been into since high school, but then as of recently opening the studio and doing more video content, I've been very much in that sort of bag for the last like 2 or 3 years. And I've just really, you know, for me, like my favorite part about it, believe it or not, is actually the editing part, or like the sequencing of the edit, because I love having that challenge of like building it out. And a lot of videographers say, oh, I hate editing. I actually disagree. I like the editing process, because I feel like that's where I truly can be my most creative. Like, so that's like where I like it. But I was curious if like there's a specific like part of, you know, creating video that is like a favorite for you, or like one you enjoy more maybe than the rest.
I'm going to go out on a limb and say the editing part, because fun fact, I've been editing videos since I was like 8, 9.
Wow.
Like I've been on YouTube making like AMVs. So I used, what's they say? What's that program? I started using Premiere Pro, I want to say going like 13, 14, but I was using Sony, what's this shit called? I forgot the name of it, but like I've been editing my whole life. That's the point thing. Give or take, I understand why folks say editing is the worst part, because it's like you're constantly tethering things and editing and all types of stuff. Like it takes time, the
100%.
rendering, all of that.
The rendering's my least favorite. Like in terms of editing, I hate
worst.
the rendering is
The worst.
It's frustrating because you're like, can this just render already so I can get to like the fun parts of this? Like, I don't want it to. I don't want to keep sitting here and waiting for it.
It's the worst. It's the worst. And if you don't have much storage, it's gonna take even longer. And may even I'm not even gonna get into that. But
Yeah.
I will go on a limb and say the editing part. But I love all process, the whole process. I feel like I tap again. I'm using all parts of myself.
Yeah.
Even on the photography part, it's like me having the eye and trying to get a certain like shot, and then I get the shot, color grading it even worse. But yeah, I would say the editing.
Yeah,
parts.
you like editing. What's a piece of hardware that like you really it's in your kit that you like is your favorite? Like you just love that you own it.
I usually always keep a camera on me.
Okay. What do you shoot on?
In terms of like my cinematic stuff, I use a Sony camera. I can't say what because I know people's gonna be like, "What do you?" Everybody's always asking me, but I'm
a Sony guy too. I like
Sony in terms of like cinematic stuff. I think those is like the best brands, But I always keep a camera on me, whether it's for the cinematic purposes or I'm doing photography. I keep a point and shoot. Give or take, my point and shoot has to get fixed. I don't know, it's tweaking, but yeah, I always keep something on me. I like just capturing. I love it.
I just recently bought one of those DJI Osmo Pocket 3s. Thing's awesome.
Awesome.
I love it. Just because it's so like it's just it's just so handheld. Like it's just so portable. I love that. Like I love my A7 IV. It's great. But it's like sometimes do I want to be bringing that around all these places? You know what I mean? Like it's it's an expensive camera. It's not one I want to be like. I'm more intentional when I use that versus like Pocket 3 is fun, but. Yeah, even it's funny. I've been getting into photo as well. Like photo never really. I would say like I don't know. It just never really like scratched that itch for me. Like video was always the one, but now like I'm starting to get a little dabbling in photo, and now I'm starting to like really enjoy photo. Like
I love because again, it's just another way of just capturing stuff, and I've been into photography since middle school, but I didn't really embrace it. And like, I was a part of photography club throughout high school. So I'm learning new things. So that's just another part of me. Like I go out and I keep it on me,
Yeah.
I'm an intentional dude. So I may not always have it out and taking things all the time.
Right.
But when I feel like I'm in that mode, I'm trying to capture stuff.
Yeah, if like the moment presents itself to do that.
Yeah.
Sweet.
I got multiple cameras. Like I really do have multiple cameras.
How many cameras do you own?
I think like 4 or 5.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's
1,
sick.
2, 3. Yeah, just about 5.
Cool. Yeah, as a studio, we have 4. I personally only own 2 though. I have the A7 IV, and then I have the Pocket 3. But man, like I love that thing because, like I said, it's just such. I highly recommend getting it. Like if anyone's like in the market for a new camera, and it's pretty affordable and it shoots great. I mean, it's so much better than like shooting it on your iPhone. You know what I mean? It's just like to have it and it's cool because it has a D-Log in it, so you can color grade your
In it.
Like you can color obviously like in post you can color grade your
That's
stuff.
fire.
So that I love a lot about the Feet that it has that you can actually shoot and log on it.
That's fire.
Yeah.
That's fire.
Yeah.
I'm seeing like recent new cameras have like the you could actually color grade on the.
Oh really?
So.
Oh no. Shit.
But I think that's like the new thing that I've been seeing like with the newer cameras. So I think that's fire. I think that's fire.
Yeah. Talk to me a little bit about Look Into My Creative Mind. Just like what was the reasoning for putting that? I know you had people should watch it. We'll link in the description. So, but just to give people a little teaser, anyone that hasn't seen it, like I'm curious of to hear from you. Like what was your intention behind putting that out?
So the way I've been working like recently, I've been like very more impulsive with it, I would say. So anytime an idea comes, I'm like, let's get it. I that whole idea took like like a day, maybe less than that. I was taking photos originally, and I'm just like, you know what? Let me just talk about myself real quick, just for the hell of it. But the idea came to me because I'm in a space of, again, I want people to get more familiar with me. Because I know people, they have this idea and this perception like I'm very grim. I stay out the way. I'm very low key. I like that, because that's intentional as well. But I also have this, give or take, people are going to perceive you any type of way. You can't fix that, whatever. But a common thing is, it's like, oh, you're just a rapper. Oh, I don't even know that you do photography. Oh, I don't even know that you shooting videos. What does exist? Who is running this? I'm like, I'm doing all of this, but nobody knows. So I don't know. It's just, I'm in that space of wanting to get people more familiar with me. I'm gonna start doing more cinematic visuals. I want to get more from. I don't want to say familiar because I use my camera, but I want to get more, build my relationship with my camera enough to like do more cinematic stuff. So, because there's a lot of things I could deconstruct, and I think starting with myself first, let people know what this is about, this channel or whatever I'm putting out, like who we were dealing with is like, I think that was number one, So
That's really cool. Yeah, that is a good point too. That I didn't really realize when I got in the last few years getting back more into videography. It's like, that relation. It sounds weird to say having a relationship with your camera, but it's so true. Is that like, you can buy, a Sony FX3, but if you don't know how the hell to use it, what the hell is really the point of owning it? You know what I mean? That's the way I don't perceive. Because I think some people like to just say like, oh yeah, I have like a fancy camera and, just for the sake of having a fancy camera, but like, do you know how to use it? And, I think that's like one of the most fun parts for me is to continue to learn how to use the camera. Like when I bought the A7 IV, I was like, all right, I had worked off Sony cameras before, but it's a little bit of a higher end camera. So let me like figure out how to use this thing. And just over time, the more, it's like anything, the more hours you put in it, like the better you get. And it's just, and that's been so fun of being like, oh, now I know like what lenses to use for different shots that I'm looking for, or, different settings for, on the ISO or shutter speeds and reasoning for frame rates and all that sort of stuff. Like, it's just, there's so much about it to know. And like, to make sure that you're understanding exactly how you're using it and to get the most out of what the camera does. Right. Because again, you can have the nicest equipment in the world, but you don't know how to use it.
How to use it is kind of like, and I don't like limiting myself. I like, again, the goal is to grow. So, I mean, I know enough, but it's like I want to know more. I want to get really acquainted with this. So it's right, like,
And that's where it's, like I said, that's where it's fun. And when it's not fun anymore to learn it, then maybe it's next time to move on to something else. So
right.
For sure. Talk to me a little bit about Exist too, like so where that started and sort of what your maybe long-term goals are with that.
So I started it kind of, I've had this vision of just, I know a lot of people come to me about my creative direction, my vision. Like I didn't well, let me not say this. I've always knew I had a gift, but I think the vision, the way my mind works, I didn't really recognize that a lot of people don't really have that. And I'm like, So I started kind of like leaning more into that. And I'm like, yo, I kind of want to eventually get to a point where I'm able to step into these many fields and like assist people, because artists do be needing creative direction. Artists do be needing vision. I've been in multiple rooms where I'm like, okay, this music is good, but what are we going to do to take this to the next level? And I'm not even speaking of myself. It's just like with other people. And just like with it exists, I just wanted to build it up into a multimedia company or something that could be for artists. Like I see E.N.G with A$AP Rocky. You see Jxylen with Kendrick, And obviously this is going to take time because I need to build a team. I can't do it myself, But I know if I had the right people, I would be making a lot of crazy things for a lot of things, even just a simple thing. Like it's just commercials. I would do a lot. But eventually I want something more for the artists out there, and I could go further years ahead. I would love to build like I would say like how would I want to say it? I don't know, like a warehouse company for just artists where they could just come in and rent spaces and just be assisted with what they need all around, but that takes time, I'm doing what I can, and I think the biggest testament to my work is, well, my creative mind is my work. So, but I work close with a lot of artists though. So,
Right.
So
Love that. Great. Well, like I said, if you're interested, if you're in the Western Mass area and you need some creative direction, make sure you reach out to Jxylen and Exist. We're going to link all of his links in the description, so make sure you check those out. And Jxylen, this has been a great episode. I'm super excited that you got a chance to come down today and finally got a chance to talk to you and meet you and sort of get a bit of a deeper look into your creative mind. Not to be punny, but no, this has been a lot of fun. We have one last segment, and it's just one question. And, of course, we call this one the dream song scenario. So I'll give you the structure of this. So you get a song. It's a Jxylen song. You can have any artists, dead or alive, on this song. You get up to 2 producers and up to 3 guest features. You don't need to use all 3 guest features in both producers, but that is the limit. Who would be on Jxylen's dream song scenario? I'll give you as much time as you need.
Producer, who would I want producing this song? I know in terms of like features, I definitely would love I need Beth Gibbons on there.
Okay.
I need that Portishead feel. Dead or alive. Who else would be on there too? Ooh. Fuck. I can't cuss, right?
You can cuss.
All right.
Hell yeah.
This is hard. This is really, really hard. I think production, though, I may lean towards The Alchemist
Okay.
and DJ Muggs. Oh,
That'd be quite the combo.
yeah. And damn. How many features?
Up to 3.
Up to 3.
You already have 1. You used
Beth, right?
Beth.
I was going to say, dang. I'm sorry for taking long.
I said take as much time as you need. That's the whole. I put you on the spot. On the drive home, you'll think of 3 other artists you'd prefer, but which is always usually how it goes.
Yo, this is crazy. Damn. I probably would say I'm gonna go on a limb and say Biggie.
Okay.
And that may be it.
Okay.
I'm trying to think, because with features, I'm very intentional with features. I don't need all these rappers on there. I know Beth is gonna give me a good singing melody that's gonna really keep it daunting and kind of scary, but feels good. I think DJ Muggs and the Alchemist is definitely going to take it to a very Portishead-esque type of feel, but yet keep it very hip hop. And I think Biggie, because I've been listening to Life After Death like crazy, I think he would just be a good rapper added to the mix. But I'm not too sure. I'm scared. But that would be a dream song though. I could name multiple dream songs because I feel like that's more of the slow, darkish rap.
Well, The Alchemist, DJ Muggs, Biggie, and Beth. Oh my God, what's her last name?
Gibbons.
Beth Gibbons from Portishead. I think it would be a smash hit, man.
It'd be interesting.
It would be an interesting song for sure.
Yeah.
Heck yeah. Well, that was Jxylen's dream song right there. Well, man, thank you so much for coming down. Like I said, this has been a lot of fun. Really enjoyed chopping it up with you and getting to know you a little bit. And yeah, all that's left to do is to take a little peek in that left side camera and let the people know where they can find you. Anyone else you want to shout out, now would be the time to do so.
This one or that one?
Left side.
This one. Jxylen, Jxylen. You can find me anywhere and everywhere. Divine Order Act 2 is out now. The cassettes just came in. If you missed the pre-orders, just know the price went up. And yeah, tap in. I don't know what else to say.
That's fine. You're good. You're good. That was perfect.
Look within. Make sure that you do self-reflection. Make sure you're following your heart. Treat the people that you love and care about around you with care. Move with integrity, and don't sacrifice your integrity for anything, because you're just sacrificing yourself. Yeah.
Well, that was one of my favorite closings, I think, of all time, especially that no one ever... People just shout out people or what they got going on, but you decided to take the opportunity to talk to the people for a second, so I really appreciate that. That was dope. If you're a fan of Jxylen, just being introduced to us for the first time, you can find us at Turntable Teachers on Instagram, TikTok, and hit up our website, turntableteachers.com, for all the latest. And of course, if you're an artist, podcaster, or content creator of any kind, be sure to reach out to us at aoastudios.org to book your session or service today. Once again, Jxylen, thanks so much for being here, man. This has been a lot of fun, and best of luck with everything else going on with the rest of the year. And yeah, I can't wait to continue to tap in and see what more creativity comes out of you. So pretty cool.
I'm blessed to be here.
Blessed to have you, man. Well, as always, I'm Mike. That's Jxylen with the Turntable Teachers, and class is officially dismissed.
Turn